If you've ever tried to get out of debt, you've probably heard that there are two ways to do it. There's the snowball method and the avalanche. I'm back with Tucker Watkins. He's a CFP with 39 years as a fiduciary. And today he's going to show you which one actually works and the part of the plan that almost nobody talks about. So here's the question. There are two big debt payoff strategies out there that people hear, the snowball and the avalanche. So in plain terms, what's the difference and which one's actually better?
Let's break it apart. So snowball versus avalanche. In the snowball method, you're going to be paying off the smallest debts first. So let's say you have a huge bunch of snow on the mountain. It's going to avalanche over you and just crush you. That crushing is because the interest rates are so high. So on the avalanche, we look at paying off the highest interest rate first. Now, which one's better? Well, they're different. Some people like to do quick wins early. So the quick wins early would be the snowball method. Just take the smallest debt, just pay it off, be done with it. So you get the little dopamine rush that, oh my God, I'm out of debt for at least that one. And that's a good thing. However, it's not necessarily the best. Mathematically, the avalanche approach usually wins on paper. However, the question of which one's better, the avalanche or the snowball method, it's actually the wrong question. The question is, in a prioritization using mathematics, which one is better, not based upon emotions, but instead based upon mathematics. So what we do is we take a client's complete list of all the debts, the amount outstanding and the interest rate and the monthly payments, and then we put all that data into the software, and the software will then prioritize for us which approach is better. So it's based upon numbers, not based upon emotions.
So why does that matter more than just math on paper?
Ultimately, the method that works is the method that you will implement and follow. So it's not necessarily just a math equation, it's a behavioral issue, which is that you have to stick with the program. And so it brings to mind Stephen Covey's book about the 7 habits of highly effective people. He said that the method of success, his rule number 2, is to begin with the end in mind. So to do that, we have to establish a plan. The plan starts with gathering up all the data, then putting all the data into the software, and then figuring out what is the priority, which one should be paid off in what sequence, and then setting that in motion. And then along the way, we're going to ask ourselves this question. Here's the powerful question. If it was possible to pay all of your debts, including mortgages, student loans, car payments, credit card debts, other consumer debts you might have, within 9 years or so, without expending any more money than you're currently doing, would you want to learn more? And the answer is yes. That's where debt-free life comes in. So under the debt-free life purpose, the purpose is to get out of debt. What we'll do is we'll teach a method of prioritizing the debts, which one's better, avalanche or snowball, and then putting the plan in place so that we'll actually be able to stay with it long term.
So a lot of people try the consolidation method or they do the balance transfer card to fix their debt. So can you tell me why those methods often backfire?
The reasons that they often backfire is that they're just based upon numbers, and it's kind of like juggling one plan against the other plan. And there are risks involved. Sometimes you'll have a starting interest rate that sounds really good, like maybe no payment, no interest at all for the first year. And then that's great, except that at the end of the year, if you don't remember that at the end of the year, they're going to jump up the interest rate, then you can get hit with higher interest just because of lack of staying tuned to their program. The debt-free life program is much more structured than that, much more simple than that when it's implemented, because we're building wealth up with tax-deferred growth, and that wealth then will be able to be used to help pay down the debts. And how this all works is incorporating something known as the Internal Revenue Code Section 7702. That's been on the books for a long time. As a matter of fact, you'll already hear many names I'm going to mention that are top of mind for you of people and families who've done this program very successfully. The one that most people know of most is the Rockefeller family. The Rockefeller family has been using this program for generations, and they truly have built generational wealth. That's why at the time, the Rockefeller family was the richest family in the country for building wealth using tax-deferred programs incorporating IRS Code Section 7702 would include Ray Kroc, who used this program to help build the McDonald's empire. Also, one of my heroes is Walt Disney, who used this program to help build Disneyland and Disney World. That's amazing. More powerful names would be people like J.C. Penney. J.C. Penney, during the Great Depression, when retail sales were so down, he had a hard time making payroll for his employees, but he was able to use the strategy to make payroll to keep all the employees paid, which was a beautiful thing. And you'll notice that all those people whose names I mentioned are all wealthy. Well, good news. You don't have to be as wealthy as them. You just have to be as wise as they were. So wisely implementing the debt-free plan, debt-free life plan would be a recommendation that we can talk about. It's not for everyone. If you are a person who spends more than you make, and if you have more month at the end of the money than you should, then it's not for you. This plan is for people who want to get out of debt and to want to have a debt-free life. So for you, the difference would be not looking into the past old strategies like debts, snowballs and debt avalanches, but instead the more appropriate, the faster road to go there, which would be using a participating whole life policy. Why is that? Well, because in the participating whole life policy, you're going to be participating in receiving dividends from the insurance company. And when you do what those wealthy people did was they borrowed, they didn't borrow from their own cash, and this is the secret. So please listen up. Instead of borrowing from their own cash, they instead borrowed from the big life insurance companies. And when they did that, their own capital stayed there. And they're continuing to earn dividends on their capital. And then they continue to receive dividends because they're participating dividends from the life insurance company. So the dollars continue to compound tax deferred. And right now, some of the companies that we're using are paying dividends in the range of 5.5% to 6.8%. And remember, those dividends completely grow tax deferred. And so that is the secret sauce, you might say, the secret sauce of how all these wealthy people were using IRS Code Section 7702 is through this concept known as a participating whole life insurance plan.